We're finishing up the last lesson in this chapter. We're on lesson 6.9. Still in the algebra strand. We're doing division rules for 1 and 0. Our lesson objective today is divide using the rules for 1 and 0. So we're going to learn what those specific rules are. And then that is exactly what your essential question is asking you, is what are the rules for dividing with 1 and 0 that you'll write about at the end of the chapter. Looking at our Common Core standard, you should see lots of our vocabulary words. Apply properties of operations as strategies of multiplying, dividing. Example, if 6 times 4 equals 24 is known, then 4 times 6 equals 24 is also known. It's the commutative property of multiplication. 3 times 5 times 2 can be found by finding 3 times 5 equals 15, then 15 times 2 equals 30, or by 5 times 2 equals 10, then 3 by 10. 3 times 10 equals 30, which is the associative property of multiplication. So those things we've been going over and over and over again. And knowing that 3 times 5 equals 40 and 8 times 2 equals 16, you can find that 8 times 7 as 8 times 5 plus 2 equals 8 times 5 plus 8 times 2 equals 40 plus 16, which equals 56, which is our distributive property. So reading through those real fast, you can see all of those fabulous vocabulary words that we have used throughout this last couple of chapters. Our problem of the day today, I think we'll just talk our way through this so you don't need to do anything into your journal. Your test prep problem. Daniel's class voted for their favorite food. How many students chose pizza or tacos? So again, it is a chart, so we're going to start by looking at the chart to kind of pick it apart and decide what it's talking about. The title of the chart is favorite food. This column is talking about the type of food. So we have pizza, spaghettis, and tacos. This column gives us a pictograph picture of which, telling you how much each one was. And we need to pay careful attention to our key each time because each one of those circle-looking things stands for 2 students, so not just 1. Once you have picked apart that graph, and this time it's a pictograph, you can start to go back and look at the problem. So it says Daniel's class voted for their favorite food. How many students chose pizza or tacos? So it wants to know both of those, okay? So we're going to look at pizza. Each one of these pictures stands for 2 students, so we're going to count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8. The math problem for that would have been 2 times 4 equals 8. And then it wants tacos. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Or 2 times 5 equals 10. And it wants to know how many students chose pizza or tacos. So we want to know both of these combined, how many of them chose it. So we have 8 plus 10, which equals 18. And we're going to label it because it wants to know how many students. So it would be 18 students. Okay. Just make sure you really pick apart these problems, especially these are the words that are trying to trick you. If it wanted to know pizza or tacos, you needed to know that you had to find both totals and then find the difference either between them or the difference combined, the total combined of them. So here was our total of pizza, here was our total of tacos. It wanted to know what the total was for both of those, which led us to our answer. Diving into our lesson for today, you need to have your Go Math book on to page 243. And thinking about our essential question again at the top of the page, what are the rules for dividing with 1 and 0? Okay. What rules for division can help you divide with 1 and 0? If there's only one fishbowl, then all the fish must go in that fishbowl. Okay, that makes sense. We have a total of 4 fish here in our fishbowl. So here's your number of fish divided by the number of bowls gives you the number in each bowl. So just looking at that problem, you should have already figured out that any number divided by 1 equals that number. Okay? So 4 divided by 1 is going to equal 4. Okay? So if it's 8 divided by 1, it's going to equal 8. So it's kind of like the same identity property of multiplication, where the product of any number and 1 is that number. This time with division, when you divide by 1, it's still that number. Okay? Knowing that you had 4 fish that had to go into one bowl, you know that you needed 4 in that bowl. On the next one over where it says try this, there are 3 fish and 1 fish bowl. Draw a quick picture to show the fish in the fish bowl. So we're going to draw a quick picture of our fish bowl. And we have 3 fish, 1 fish bowl. So here's a fish, 2 fish, 3 fish. That last one was kind of an ugly little fish. Okay, write the equation for your picture shows. So we had 3 fish divided by 1 fish bowl. Knowing that anything divided by 1 is that number, we know that we have 3 fish for that bowl. So 3 divided by 1 equals 3. If there's the same number of fish and fish bowl, then 1 fish goes into each fish bowl. So you have 4 fish divided by 4 bowls equals 1 fish in each one. So any number except 0, they're throwing that little clause in there for a reason, divided by itself equals 1. So they're saying 4 divided by 4 equals 1. Going back to our example up here, if I do 8 divided by 8, it's going to equal 1. Okay? So any number divided by itself equals 1. Any number divided by 1 equals that number. So try this. There are 3 fish and 3 fish bowls. Draw a quick picture to show the fish divided equally among the fish bowls. So I need to draw 3 fish bowls this time. It's just a quick sketch, so I don't care what it really looks like. And we have 3 fish. Okay, oh, my fish got better each time. Write the equation for your picture. So I had 3 fish divided by 3 fish bowls gives me 1 in each one of those bowls. So that's just a quick overview of the divided with 1. Any number divided by 1 equals that number. That was rule A. Okay? Any number divided by 1 equals that number. Any number except 0 divided by itself equals 1. The next page, you should be on 244. If there are 0 fish and 4 fish bowls, there will not be any fish in the fish bowls because you didn't have any fish. Okay? So you had number of fish was 0 divided by 4 was how many fish bowls you have, gave you 0. So here's your rule. 0 divided by any number except 0 equals 0. So you have 0 divided by 100, it's still going to be 0. Okay. Draw a quick picture to show there are 0 fish and 3 fish bowls. You're going to draw your 3 fish bowls again. You guys are going to be great drawers of fish bowls and fish by the end of this lesson. Now write the equation that shows what your picture is. So you have 0 fish divided by 3 bowls gives you 0 fish in each one. And now, remember on the previous page it said you could divide except with 0, so here's the explanation for that. If there are 0 fish bowls, then you cannot separate the fish equally into fish bowls. Dividing by 0 is not possible. So you should never see a problem like this. The 4 divided by 0. You cannot do that. You cannot divide by 0. So remember that as you're writing your fact families, especially your related facts. You cannot have a divisor of 0. Your dividend can be 0, but not your divisor. On the bottom, share and show, use the picture to find 2 divided by 2. So I have 1, 2 hives, and I have 1, 2 bees. So we know that any number divided by itself is 1. That was on the page before. Now it wants you to find the quotient. Remember, a quotient is the answer in a division problem. Okay? So 7 divided by 1. Think about what we did on the first page. If we had 7 fish to put into one fish bowl, anything divided by 1 is that number. So 7 divided by 1 is 7. Going back to the page before again, 8 divided by 8. If I had 8 fish in 8 fish bowls, how many went into it? Any number divided by itself is 1. And now looking at this page, these should look similar. 0 divided by 5. Anything, when you dividend as 0, your quotient is going to be 0. And number 5. So same as this one. Any number divided by itself is 1. Pretty easy concept for the last lesson in this chapter. Just remembering that any dividend of 0 is going to give you 0. Any number divided by 1 is going to give you that number. Any number divided by that same number is going to give you 1. Okay? If you think that you need to go back and re-watch those concepts and re-look at those drawings, please go back and watch the video again. If you are ready to go on, the next page is on your own. Remembering that this division bar that they have is the same as this. So you'll see it a couple different ways. Later in chapters, you'll see it looking like this. So just knowing that those all mean divide. You will do this page on your own after the video. Let's go ahead and skip down and look at the problem solving 26 through 28. And they gave us just a little bit of white space today. If you need to draw some of these ones out, then grab a piece of recycled paper and we'll just staple it to your page when you're done. Number 26. Claire has 7 parakeets. She puts 4 in a cage and divides the other 3 parakeets equally. Divides the other parakeets equally among 3 friends. So a 2-step problem here. Okay? So she has 7 parakeets and puts them in 4 cages. So we're going to draw 4 cages. And she has 7 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's not going to give me equally, so I need to get rid of those little ones that I just did. They are not equal. So I have 1, 2, 3 left over after I divided them by the 4. She has 3 friends, so I have 3 divided by 3. We just learned in this lesson any number divided by itself is what number? So that is going to go here, and you're going to label it parakeets. Number 27. Lena has some parrots. She gives each parrot 1 grape. If Lena gives out 5 grapes, how many parrots does she have? So she has some parrots. We're looking at how many parrots she has. She is giving them each 1 grape times, and she's going to give out 5 of them. So 1 times 5 is going to give you 5. Okay? The other way you can think about that is the opposite. She gives each parrot 1 grape. She gives out 5 grapes. So here's 1 parrot, 2 parrots, 3 parrots, 4 parrots, 5 parrots. Okay. So how many parrots does she have in all? Okay. This should have been 1 grape, 2 grapes, 3 grapes, 4 grapes, 5 grapes. So how many parrots does she have? Is 5 parrots. And your last one is your writing about math. Suppose a pet store has 21 birds that are in 21 cages. Use what you know about the division rules to find the number of birds in each cage. So 21 birds, 21 cages. So you have 21 divided by 21 equals what? And then it wants you to explain why that makes sense. You'll come back and finish the top part of this on your own after we go on to the next page. Just has one quick question up there. Joe has 4 horses. He puts each horse in its own stall. How many stalls does Joe use? Think about those divisions that we just used. Now you have a connect to reading. We haven't had very many of these. Compare and contrast. You have learned the rules for division with 1. Compare and contrast them to help you learn how to use the rules to solve problems. So comparing the rules, you're thinking about how they're alike. Contrasting the rules, you're thinking about how they're different. Okay? And on the bottom of that, after you read through those, you're going to read the problem and write an equation that goes with that problem. Then you're going to circle whether that equation fits rule A or fits rule B, and circle one of those two. Okay? After you have gone back and done the on your own questions, have finished this page, you're ready to go to your journal. In your journal today, your essential question was, what are the rules for dividing 1 and 0? I would go back to this page and just copy those 2 rules. Making sure you write the prompt on your page. This is 6.9. Write your essential question. Then go back to that page and just copy those rules, Rule A and Rule B. Then you're drawing a line across, and you're going to copy your journal entry, which is very, very similar. Compare and contrast the multiplication rules for 1 and 0 with the division rules for 1 and 0. Again, go back to the page before. It's asking you to compare and contrast these. Here's your answers right here. Because all you have to do is put them in your own words and fill in the rest of this. Don't forget to write your prompt on the page. Since this is the last lesson in this chapter, if there's anything that you are not completely solid on or you're thinking you might get a little confused on, please go back and watch the videos from this unit. You can start at 6.1 and watch the videos all the way through 6.9 and not have your workbook pages, but just make sure you're understanding the concepts and following along with me before you go to take your test. Okay? We'll do the review pages and then your assessment, so you have a couple of chances to practice, but these videos will stay on here as long as anybody is in this unit, so go back and watch any that you need clarified. I hope that this was an easily understood chapter, that I explained it in a way that you could understand it. The journals and the essential question writing should be helping you to have to explain those to make sure that you understand it. Remember, as you're doing problem solving, every single thing needs labeled. With division, make sure that you are not afraid to draw it out. When you're giving a problem solving question, when in doubt, draw it out. That shows you where you can make your mistakes, where you can fix them, and what maybe we need to be helping you with. So 6.9 means chapter 6 has come to a close. Use the previous recordings as you need to, and we'll be moving on to chapter 7.